let's just go into submission corner then. So this is where we discuss some of the stuff that's arrived in our inbox. So if you are listening and have something you'd like us to hear, then you can send it over to us at theheadscratcher@outlook.com, or just send us a message on Facebook, Instagram or Twitter. And this time round we've got K.O.T.H, or King of the Hill, by the Scottish MC Barz Fury. So this came out on the 17th of July. It's a self-released album, it has 11 tracks, and it is approximately 26 minutes long, so it's pretty short.
Yeah.
Bordering on EP territory, but it is a full album. And Barz Fury is from West Lothian, and he was kind enough to send this in to us for a review. And if you listen to our review of Slippery Trash Mouth's postulated substance abuse EP, you'll remember that Barz Fury featured on the track Happy Little Mountains. That was the one with the Bob Ross samples, which I enjoyed very much. And that was probably my favourite track on that EP. And I think a good part of that is down to Barz Fury, to be honest. Much like that Slippery Trash Mouth EP, this is an unashamedly Scottish album. And Barz Fury very much does rap in a Scottish accent.
Oh, aye. Mm-hmm.
And that's something that seems to be a bit of a divisive point for some people. I've definitely had a few people say that they can't get used to that Scottish accent in rap, but I'm all for it. I think it's cool. Barz Fury is also like one of the best MC... if I could talk... It's one of the best MC names that I've heard. And I think his, you can have a good name and then be a shit rapper, but I think his lyrics and his flow stand up to the quality of that name. Because he does rap in Scottish, I think part of the draw is then the kind of memorable turns of phrase and the colloquialisms that he uses in his lyrics. Like the opening track, K.O.T.H, for example, he says, "I'm a specialist in wrecking shit." It sets the scene pretty much perfectly. And it's over the top of this like creaking, crumbling acoustic guitar melody, which is a really cool like beat to rap over the top to. And it's got a satisfying low end to it too. So I like the way the album starts off, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know yourself, this stuff wouldn't ordinarily be in my wheelhouse at all. But I quite like the Slippery Trash Mouth album that you mentioned there, and I enjoyed this. I think it's quite refreshing hearing somebody sing and indeed rap in their own accents. You know what I mean? It's because, as you quite rightly said when you're talking about the Zebecs, you know what I mean? Like, although they're not singing although they're not singing in their accent, they take on more of that kind of transatlantic kind of accent, where this is unashamedly Scottish. And for that reason as well, I thought it was quite good that he's got a few collaborators over the course of the album. Spawn Zero features, he was on the Slippery Trash Mouth album as well, as is Witness MC. I think he kind of features in track number 3, Bags and stuff. Couldn't find all that much information about him online, but I think he's a London-based MC.
Okay.
I found something about his debut EP, Display of Force. I think that was released back in 2016. We've also got Subconscious and Z. And I think I quite like the kind of juxtaposition between like Barz Fury's rapping and then having, these collaborators. I thought it worked really well and kind of helped to keep the album fresh.
Yeah, definitely. I think where like that Slippery Trash Mouth EP, I know we're talking about it a lot, but it's a good counterpoint, was that to me seemed, I think I referenced like Jurassic 5, stuff like that in that review, and I would say this is more like on the darker kind of side of hip hop. It's a bit more like Wu-Tang or Cypress Hill or like early Dr. Dre or Eminem, that kind of side of hip hop, than it is like the more jazzy Jurassic 5 or the Far Side kind of hip hop. So it's a bit more gritty, a bit darker, a bit creepier, which I think is cool. There's a lot of good stuff, like right out of the gate, which has got Spawn Zero in it. Has got this sort of looping, chiming beat. That beat does get a little bit repetitive after a while, but I think that when the rhythm of the lyrics tend to change up enough to keep things interesting. There's a good line where he raps, "A storm is coming, I can feel it in my bones." That's a good part of that song. The beats are good all over the album. Like I say, I think they do get a bit repetitive at times, but
they're quite low key though, aren't they? You know what I mean? Like the vocals, are the kind of main. I suppose that's the main show, isn't it? Which is what you would expect.
Yeah, and that's where things change up, and you get the guest performances and stuff, and that like you said was kind of what keeps it fresh.
Yeah.
I just love picking out these kind of random lines, like fleecing my worth. He says, "I'm a pain in the cunt," or he says, "Fleecing you cunts until I'm achieving my worth." Bags and stuff. He says, "I've been known to snap necks," which is one of the best lines on the album. Like every time I hear that, I'm kind of it just makes me laugh every time I hear it. It's so good. And I think that is probably, I like the interchange between Barz Fury and Witness MC on that track especially.
Mm.
The closing line on Deviant Pro is, "You've had your whole life punked," which is a great phrase. What else? What was it? I was trying to remember what I was looking for. It's the last track, which is a bonus track, which is
Do Nothing. Do Nothing.
Do Nothing, yeah. And that is just where he talks about making people eat his bars for their dinner, or where he's talking about taking a shot of your bird because she's a mink. That just floors me every time I hear
that word mink. Quality, man. It's quality.
It just reminds me of being in primary school. It's that's a great bit, and just the fact that there's a song called "Cost Cutters" on here just feels really Scottish for some reason.
Is that not the one that Subconscious and Z? They're listed.
Yeah, they're on Cost Cutters. Yeah, it just feels like a really like on like a shite Scottish council estate. There's always like a Cost Cutters or like.
There's always a Cost Cutters, aye.
It just feels so Scottish and so depressing, which I think works. I mean that the sound of this album really works with that. When I was talking about how sort of grimy it is, it just sounds like bleak Scotland.
And you could say that the album cover is maybe even a picture of a Scottish council estate.
Aye, so I think there's a lot to love on this. I had a pretty good time with it.
I think it's worth saying as well. I've kind of pointed out that it does kind of touch on a lot of the kind of the usual hip hop tropes and themes, and I would say that when he's kind of talking about breaking necks, he's not necessarily trying to be funny. However, there is a lot of humour in this album as well. I can't quite remember which track it is. It's maybe kind of track number 8, I think it is, Out and Open. It's maybe Spawn Zero that delivers these lyrics, but they kind of sing about being a starving artist, and then they compare themselves to Mr. Burns.
Aye.
Like, I'm not rich like Mr. Burns. And I thought that was quite funny.
There is that like hip hop bravado.
Totally.
But
totally.
because it's like some boy, in Livingstone or whatever rapping.
Because I think they're all from Livingston, aren't they? Like,
that kind of makes it funny to me in a way, like because it's these guys on like a Scottish, like in a Scottish shithole, like rapping about like snapping people's necks and stuff. I think it's really good. I don't mean that in like a I'm like laughing at
facetious way.
Yeah, I just think it is funny, and it I think there is an inherent humour to this, and just in the same way there was with postulated substance abuse, and that's one of the things I enjoy the most on these kind of albums. And I think the rappers involved are accomplished rappers as well. They do have a flow. They can lay down beats. They can write good lyrics. Like, and whoever it is, I mean, I don't know if Barz Fury has done the beats himself, but they're really good as well, and fit in with that kind of grimy aesthetic, I suppose.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What did you rate it, big man?
So I've given it a 7 out of 10. I think
I think that's fair to say, man. That's what I've given it as well. 6 or 7 out of 10 is what I get.
I'm definitely a 7. I think, like I said, it's a wee bit repetitive at times, but overall, I really enjoy it. So I think the fact that it's quite short helps as well. It doesn't try to do like too much or get boring. So pretty good album. I don't know if you've seen the film The Great Hip Hop Hoax.
No.
Because it's just like whenever I listen to Scottish rap, it always reminds me of that film, and it's basically.
I think I know. I think I've maybe read I think I maybe read an article about it's two guys that basically just kidded on that they were rappers or something.
So they were rappers, two Scottish guys making Scottish hip hop, but I think they found that with their regional accent, like no one would take them seriously.
Mm-hmm.
So they took it upon themselves to pretend that they were actually from the west coast of the States, somewhere in California. And I think doing that got them a deal with Sony, a record deal. And then, in the end, they obviously get rumbled because their story starts to, like, people start to pick holes in their story, and their accents are a little bit dodgy and stuff like that. But they're on interviews like pretending to be West Coast rappers and stuff. It's a really good documentary, like, and a great soundtrack as well. So like I said, it's just because we're talking about Scottish rap, it's reminding me of that film, but it's worth checking out.
I think I remember reading like an article on like Lad Bible or something like that about them.
Yeah, but the film is really good. Cool. So that was K.O.T.H by Barz Fury.
I'm a specialist at wrecking shit, but don't mention it. You'll get hit like some mob shit. You don't commit, so you're left like a bitch.
The storm is coming, I can feel it in my bones. It's being written, you can read it on the stones.
I'm a pain in the cunt like no weed in the blunt. My dealing's a hush, I'll turn your head into mush.
You don't want reach for the rocky, I ain't talking on a sawn off. Part man, more God, everything that you're not.
Take your motherfucking face off. I'm sick of little rats playing both sides, I show no remorse. Bitch made, I got your name on a switchblade. Use the inmates in me, I'm never inmate. Take a shot at your bird cause she's a mink. Sit and won't do shit. You just sit and won't do shit.
It's not finished. It's finished.